Welcome back to the news at 10. Over $1 billion of Nigeria's stolen funds stashed in foreign bank accounts has been recovered by the federal government. In an interview with our correspondent Benga Ashiru, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Jeffrey Onyama, explains that the stolen money was recovered through the Foreign Ministry's collaboration with the Swiss government.
We are working with neighboring countries in addressing the security challenges here. And I must say that a lot of progress and indeed success has been achieved since this administration came on. And to the extent that really the Boko Haram has now been seriously, its capacity seriously diminished.
What is the role of the Foreign Ministry in the recovery of stolen funds?
Very important role. In fact, it's interesting you should ask this question, because I had a meeting with the Swiss ambassador in Nigeria and to discuss precisely that. The Swiss government has already returned about $730 million to the country, and they've informed us that they have been able to now identify another $321 million. So there are ongoing discussions on how to repatriate the money back to Nigeria. And we're also engaging with other countries to assist us in recovering stolen Nigerian loot monies stashed abroad.
To watch the full interview, tune in to Question Time on Thursday, DSTV channel 254 at 4:30 p.m. and on our UK platform, Sky channel 575 at 8:30 p.m. local time in London on Tuesday. The President, Muhammadu Buhari, is to visit the United Arab Emirates, and he's visiting there already. And he told the gathering in Abu Dhabi that Boko Haram has been significantly contained and that the sect is now in fallback position. So how should the military maintain this status? Joining me to look at this is a retired Army officer, Colonel Najim Shobo. Thank you so much for joining us on the News at 10.
Thank you very much. Good evening.
Well, many times in the past, we see the sect members being driven out of a particular region, they return, and then the back and forth. But now we've heard from the President that they've been significantly contained. How do you think the military can sustain that status?
Well, great. The Nigerian military, as it is today, they have destroyed the Boko Haram from their territories, and the Boko Haram, as it is today, is just existing in name and not in force any longer. And of course, now that the Boko Haram have been dislodged, the next thing is that the military will continue to maintain the momentum and gradually return the peacekeeping system back to the Nigerian police, so that the military men will now be released for further military duties. And you are aware too that the Nigerian police have dispatched about 8,000 Nigerian police force and policemen to the northeast to assist the military in the containment of the rest of the Boko Haram. And again, you discover that the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria saddled the responsibility of the maintenance of law and order on the Nigerian police force. So therefore, it is the responsibility of the police to take over where the army has stopped, so that the internal crisis can be curtailed while the military continue on its intelligence gathering and synergizing with other security agencies of the country. Not only that, because the issue of terrorism is not fought and won from the barrel of the gun alone, the community too have to play a role. There should be that security awareness on the part of the community. And by definition of security awareness is just your being consciousness of the existence of a security program, the impact of that security program on the community, and how it can assist the community to ensure the safety of lives and property. And anybody that is aware within the community, they become a force multiplier to the military, and they equally assist in the security program.
All right, Colonel Najim Shobo, thanks for joining us and sharing your thoughts on the News at 10 tonight. Stanbic IBTC has obtained an injunction against the enforcement of the final regulatory decision of the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria. Justice Ibrahim Buba of the Federal High Court sitting in Lagos granted the bank's application seeking to stay the enforcement of its judgment of the December the 14th, 2015. In this judgment, Justice Buba had dismissed the suit filed by the bank against the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria and the National Office for Technology Acquisition and Promotion.
The judge got the law wrong in his interpretation and analysis of the provisions of the Financial Reporting Council and the NOTAP Act that we placed before him for construction. Thought we should get protection for the bank against harassment by the Financial Reporting Council. And he agreed with us that this was a proper case in which the court should stop the Financial Reporting Council from taking any step to enforce its final regulatory decision pending the hearing and determination of the appeal against his own decision.
Now let's cross over to look at some business news for the day. Here's Adeshawa Josh.
You first. First Bank.
Well, thank you, Jeremiah. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Business News. I am Adeshawa Josh. All now appears set for the 46th edition of the World Economic Forum. A session's open tomorrow in Davos Clusters, Switzerland. Participants are expected to discuss ways to maximize the fourth industrial revolution. Over 40 world leaders are also expected to attend the events. Channel's Business News editor, Bosin Omofaye, brings us the latest.
Let's look at what will be the key focus for the first day of the conference tomorrow. For a World Economic Forum, you'll be surprised the first item on the agenda for the first day is securing a vaccine for Ebola. Of course, that's a world-known disease. The West Africa, thousands of deaths resulting from this epidemic. Now, that will be the first discussion tomorrow. Nigeria's former finance minister, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, will be part of the panel. She's from the chairman of the Gavi Alliance, who will be discussing this tomorrow with the two other individuals on that panel. And later on, there will be a press briefing by the co-chair of this 2016 edition of the World Economic Forum. They will give the media an overview of what to expect over the next 3 days of this conference. Then after that, in the afternoon, just about lunchtime here in Davos, you will be looking at the state of the world healthcare. So the discussion in the morning, 9:30 local time here, to talk about securing a vaccine for Ebola. Then later in the afternoon, a little bit about health as well.
And as the final hours of the formal opening of the three-day World Economic Forum meeting for 2016 approaches, many analysts expect participants to also discuss major issues affecting the global economy. Business News correspondent Harriet Agbain reports that leaders will focus on 10 global challenges, including security and the future of the internet.
More than 250 sessions and workshops will take place here when the 46th Annual World Economic Forum meeting kicks off. Over 1,000 leaders from different parts of the world will be converging here to talk about the biggest issues confronting most economies. Of course, at this time, the commodities downturn is affecting most countries in sub-Saharan Africa. It's going to be a time to compute ideas together. It's going to be a time to listen to some of the sessions and listen to the ideas that some of the participants and delegates will be bringing forth and how to implement it in the various countries who will be represented here. Some of the early birds at this year's meeting are already registering, getting ready for sessions that kick off in earnest. Already, the hall is filling up with some participants at this year's event. Mastering the fourth industrial revolution is a theme for the 2016 World Economic Forum annual meeting happening here in Davos Cluster, Switzerland. Over 2,500 participants, including heads of states, presidents, as well as media and global shapers, will fill the various sessions such as solving problems of global commons, addressing global security issues, employment, skills and human capital, economic growth and social social inclusion, as well as the future of internet that will focus on global security concerns, global food shortage, as well as economic and financial inclusions will be ones to watch, as we'll have some of Nigerian delegates sitting in and listening to what some of the world leaders as well as other participants will have to say. Harriet Agbenyi, reporting for Channels Television News.
Now let's bring it back home. CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele has appeared before the Senate to explain the continued fall in the value of the naira. Journalists were not, however, allowed to cover that meeting. The Senate last Thursday summoned Mr. Emefiele after expressing concern that the continued crashing of the naira against the dollar is worrisome and a decisive action must be taken. A source told Channels Television that at the meeting, the CBN governor explained to lawmakers why the Apex Bank stopped the sale of forex to Bureau de Change agents. Senate spokesman who briefed journalists after the closed-door meeting said the CBN governor gave an account of the performance of the Nigerian economy in the last 1 year. The FMDQ OTC exchange is forecasting more corporate bonds listing in 2016. According to the management of the OTC, the successful listing of the first non-financial corporate bond this year is a pointer to this projection. The exchange expects that the current regulatory environment will continue to catalyze more corporate debts for the fixed income space. The sell-offs in the equities market softened a little bit today as the benchmark index slipped further by 0.4% as against the 4.1% plunge in the previous session. Here's BC Adebayo with the market's summary.
Hello and welcome to the stock market report. The Nigerian equities market declined further as investors continue to book profit off major stocks. This time, the all-share index depreciated by 0.40% to end Tuesday's session at 22,456.32 with a lower market capitalization of 7.72 trillion naira. Nestle led the day's top price losers, which also include Guinness and Seplat. Wapco, International Breweries and GlaxoSmithKline were the top three price appreciators for this session. Bank stocks continue to drive market volume and Zenith Bank took the lead with 51.48 million shares. When stocks crossed the finish line, volume traded came in at 256.43 million shares, valued at 1.97 billion naira in 4,731 deals. That ends the stock market reports. I am BC Adebayo.
Thanks a lot, BC. And more markets around the world have closed for the day. Let's check out the closing figures from these markets. And that's business news this hour. The news at 10 continues in a moment.
You first. First Bank.
Reckitt Benckiser, makers of household and personal care products, is set to invest about 1.2 billion naira to prevent deaths caused by diarrhea here in the country. After meeting with the Vice President, Professor Yemi Oshibajo, the Managing Director of the consumer goods company, Raul Murgai, says nearly 100,000 cases of child mortality are recorded annually in Nigeria.
2008 statistics from the United Nations Children's Education Fund, UNICEF, put the mortality rate resulting from diarrhea at 150,000 annually, caused by poor sanitation and hygiene. Such high mortality rate is a cause for this visit to the Vice President, Professor Yemi Oshibajo, by the top management of the world's leading consumer health and hygiene company, Reckitt Benckiser, led by their general manager, Mr. Raul Murgai. Mr. Murgai said 96,000 annual child mortality rate almost a decade after, and over 400 billion naira of accruable revenue lost to diarrhea is great cause for worry and the matter his company will take up.
Statistics show that about 455 billion naira is lost, which is almost 1.3% of the GDP, due to poor health and hygiene conditions. What this means from a human index perspective is that there is nearly 96,000 lives, close to 100,000 lives of small children under the age of 5 which is lost due to diarrhea.
With a global vision of healthier lives and happier homes, resulting to partnerships with the Save the Children non-governmental organization and Nigeria's Ministry of Health, Mr. Mogai announced that his company will invest 2.1 billion naira to fight diarrhea in Nigeria.
Where we are investing close to about 7.2 billion naira in 3 countries, of which Nigeria should be a recipient, where we invest about 1.2 billion naira. Now the whole purpose of this program is to take the World Health Organization 7-point program and be able to cure and save a child.
Already, a pilot project tagged Stop Diarrhea Program, initiated in Nigeria in partnership with Save the Children, has commenced in Shomolu local government of Lagos State to reduce the prevalence of diarrhea and help eradicate child deaths from this ailment. Mr. Mogai says when completed, the project will be replicated across the country. Omelogo Nadi, Channels Television News.
Still ahead on the news at 10, Coach Sunday Olise commends the Super Eagles for their impressive performance over Niger at the African Nations Championship. And that's on sports. Stay with us.